Welcome to the Explainer. So imagine for just a second that you're doing a deep clean of your room. You pull out this dusty old shoebox from the absolute back of your closet, and tucked inside the pages of an old book, you find a crisp, perfectly preserved $100 bill. Honestly, it feels like hitting a mini jackpot, right? Literally free money from your past self.
Okay, let's dive right into this explainer by using that exact scenario to uncover one of the most misunderstood forces in all of finance. You've got that $100 bill staring right back at you, feeling like a massive win. But here's the critical $1,000,000 or, well, $100 question. If that cash stayed hidden in that shoebox for 20 years, untouched, is it really still $100? Now, most people would automatically say, well, yeah, obviously. And physically, they're completely right. Benjamin Franklin's face hasn't changed. The paper feels exactly the same. But financially, they are entirely wrong. Because while the number printed on the paper stays exactly the same, what that money can actually do out in the real world quietly, relentlessly shrinks over time.
Section 1, the missing purchasing power. To understand why your hidden money is shrinking, we have to talk about inflation, a slow, quiet, but absolutely constant force that affects everyone, from students to business owners, even if they don't notice it.
Let's actually trace how this builds using a super simple everyday example. Think about grabbing lunch. Decades ago, back in the 50s, a normal burger might have cost you around 25 cents, but let's look closer to today. Say you buy a standard everyday burger for $5. Nothing fancy. Fast forward a few years and suddenly that exact same burger costs $6. A few more years pass and it hits $8. The recipe didn't change at all. The ingredients are identical. The food didn't magically transform into some gourmet luxury meal. Instead, your money simply lost its muscle. It takes more physical bills to extract the exact same caloric value from the economy. So, the absolutely crucial point here is understanding this core definition: purchasing power. Simply put, this is the ability of your money to buy goods and services. When purchasing power falls, prices appear to rise. It just takes more of your individual dollars to buy the exact same thing. That quiet erosion is the very essence of inflation. It is basically an invisible tax on the money you hold. Section 2, why prices keep rising. Now that we know what inflation is, let's shift from a single burger and look at the broader mechanics that actually drive it. Now, what's really interesting about this is when we imagine an exclusive, one-night-only concert for your absolute favorite band, it's going to be the show of the decade, right? But the venue is incredibly small, with only 1,000 seats available. That is a hard physical limit on supply. The promoters literally cannot magically build more seats or expand the walls of the building. But contrast those limited seats with 10,000 massive fans frantically logging online, desperately trying to get into that exact same venue. What happens? Prices instantly skyrocket. You have a massive surge in demand chasing a very limited fixed supply. The folks willing to part with more of their money drive the baseline price up for everyone else in a massive bidding war. Let's speed this up a bit, because it's not just crazed concert fans driving this. It's the fundamental cost of doing business. Think about a local bakery owner. To make a simple loaf of bread, they have overwhelming pressures. They have to pay their staff, buy flour, keep the commercial ovens running, and pay the landlord. If the cost of all those inputs starts creeping up, maybe global wheat prices rise or electricity becomes more expensive, that baker is backed into a corner. They either absorb the losses out of pocket and go bankrupt, or they raise the price of their bread. Naturally, rising expenses force them to raise their own prices to survive. When you zoom out to an entire country, the macroeconomic equation becomes incredibly clear. Imagine millions of people suddenly have more money in their pockets to spend. That drives overall demand way up. But if factories aren't churning out more goods to match that sudden demand, supply stays completely flat. The inevitable result? Inflation takes hold, and prices rise across the board. Section 3. Saving versus investing. Because let's be real, inflation isn't just some macroeconomic theory. It dictates the reality of your daily necessities like coffee, rent, and groceries. And this brilliantly illustrates the real-world impact over time. Let's look at two completely different paths. Person A keeps $10,000 in cash, tucking it safely away in a drawer. Person B takes their $10,000 and invests it. Let's say 10 years pass, with inflation quietly humming along at about 3% a year. Person A opens their drawer and still just sees exactly $10,000. But because the world outside that drawer got more expensive, their money buys significantly less than it used to. Person B's invested money, however, has harnessed compound growth, historically outpacing those rising costs. This stark contrast shows exactly why investing exists. Now, just to be super clear so we don't mix this up, saving money is incredibly important. A savings account is your financial shield. It's your emergency safety net for when a pipe bursts or your car breaks down. But saving and growing are two entirely different financial strategies. Savings protect your cash from short-term emergencies. Investments attempt to actively grow your wealth. If you leave all your long-term wealth sitting in idle cash, it is constantly, quietly being attacked by inflation. Section 4. Central banks and mortgages. Let's look at how the entire system fights back against rising prices and how you might accidentally benefit from it. So what's fascinating is that there are rare times when individuals actually win during an inflationary period. Imagine you buy a home and lock in a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. As the years roll by, the cost of living goes up, economy-wide prices rise, and ideally, your salary steadily increases to match it. But your fixed monthly mortgage payment, it stays exactly the same. Because your income went up, but your major debt payment didn't, your mortgage actually feels cheaper and easier to afford over time. But of course, central banks know exactly how this works. Think of a central bank as a giant thermostat for the economy. If the economy gets too hot, people are borrowing easily, spending wildly, and inflation gets too high, they step in and turn the dial up. They raise interest rates to make borrowing much more expensive, which cools down consumer demand. On the flip side, if the economy is too cold, they lower rates to encourage spending. Finding that perfect balance is incredibly difficult, but it's their primary tool to stop runaway inflation. Section 5. How to beat inflation. It is time to turn this macroeconomic knowledge into an actual personal strategy. Think back to that $100 bill we found in the shoebox at the very beginning. Inflation didn't break into your room and steal the physical paper. The ink didn't change, but its capability quietly decayed. So how do we fight back? People who truly understand money don't just hoard cash and hope for the best. They focus on specific areas. They relentlessly build high-value skills to continually drive their income growth. They prioritize long-term investing. Their overarching goal isn't just saving a high number in a bank account, it's actively protecting their purchasing power from melting away like an ice cube left out in the summer sun. Which really leaves us with one final provocative thought to wrap up this explainer. Are you just earning money, or are you actively staying ahead of inflation? In the real world, building true wealth isn't just about the top-line number on your paycheck. It is about actively outpacing the silent thief of inflation. Once you grasp that, you truly begin to master your financial future. Thanks for tuning in, and keep your purchasing power strong.